We listen and we don't judge. Grey's Anatomy edition. I don't hate Owen Hunt. That's a big one. Have I hated him at times? Yes. Do I think his character is crucial to so many storylines and emotions in the show? 100,000%. I don't want him to leave. I don't want him to be killed off. I enjoy him in the show, and I stand by it. I stand by it. The What If episode isn't that bad. And if you haven't done a rewatch in a while, let me show you one little clip that's going to make you want to.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
I'm just gonna go.
No, you're not.
And Meredith with Alex and Ellis and Richard together. It's an interesting perspective, and yet the way everything unfolds still can be very similar to things unfolding in the regular episodes. People judge the episodes after Christina left and Derek left, so 12 and up, way too harshly. Amelia should have always been a main character from the start. This is coming from someone who hated spinoffs when they first started because who has the time? But now I will say, if you're watching Grey's Anatomy and you love it, you better go back and watch Private Practice and Station 19 to fully understand every single character that's popped up in Grey's, especially Amelia and Addison. They may not get all their storylines 100% lined up in the timeline, but they are the one show that does not shy away from any topic going on in real life or in the medical field. And for that, it's the best show ever. And last for now, I absolutely love the musical episode, and I will die on that hill. We listen and we don't judge. Grey's Anatomy edition, part 2. Callie gets far too much hate for the way that she was after the plane crash. Arizona went through what she went through. Callie also had to go through losing Mark. Yes, she was not on the plane, but she had to deal with losing Mark, the father of her child, and essentially the woman that she loves, her wife, because of how much it changed Arizona and their relationship. I think we need to give both of them more grace during those times because, not to excuse away bad behaviors, but like trauma. And let's talking about the plane crash. It's not Owen's fault. Yes, I know he signed the paper. Yes, I know we want to blame because there was history of an issue, but I don't know if he would have been privy to that information, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the plane would crash, and he definitely wouldn't have wanted it to happen, so I've never blamed him. As well as I've never blamed Penny for Derek's death. I actually always kind of liked Penny. I mean, she was annoying at times, sure, but I've never, ever once blamed her. And the perfect Penny killed my husband. Like, I've never felt that way. For anyone in the comments on this one, the last one, any of my videos that don't like Amelia, you don't get to say that unless you've watched Private Practice as well. And where she helps Sullivan on Station 19. And once you've seen all the facets of her character, if you then don't like her, okay, fine, because you have done your research, but I doubt that you still would not like her. And lastly, for this one, maybe I'll do another part, but Izzy, overhated. Izzy is overhated. Listen, was I pissed off at her? Yes. Was it upsetting what she did to George and Callie in that whole situation? Obviously. But Addison went off and cheated her husband with his best friend. And I never hated Addison. I was angry when I first met her, sure. But then I got to know her. We only knew her from the get-go, right? But we had already known Izzy for being amazing Izzy. So she made a mistake, a bad mistake. But okay, we have George, we have Alex, we have Derek, we have Mark, we have Richard. We have so many men, too, who made awful choices in their lives. Anyway, I'll always love Izzy. And I feel like she just gets so much hate. And there have been other men or women who have done similar things in the show that do not get the hate that she gets. So let me know if you want a part 3. We listen and we don't judge. Grey's Anatomy edition, part 3. Maggie gets way, way too much hate. I don't understand the issue. I have never understood why people don't like her. I have always really liked her. I'm so sad that she ended up leaving the show. I'm glad that she came back for a little bit, but I don't see now where that would fit in the storyline. I've never understood it. She's way overhated. I'm so bummed that Preston Burke is played by someone who is not a great human because the character was a great character. No matter how many times I rewatch, I still really enjoy the character and the storylines. Alex Karev, I absolutely love that character, but it's funny to me how no matter what he ever did, it's so overlooked, and we don't do that with other characters. Like, he almost killed DeLuca, and we just got past it. Like, what? Again, I love the character. I love the character's development, I'm just saying, we pick and choose. And lastly, Arizona Robbins. I brought up Callie in the other part. Arizona, I absolutely love that character as well. But the way she treated Callie after she lost her leg, a lot of it obviously from the trauma and what she was going through and having to relearn so much about herself. But they both dealt with the trauma of that plane crash differently. Callie wasn't on it, so a lot of people were saying it wasn't really trauma, it was grief. But I think not knowing who's alive or dead for 7 days is a trauma. Like, after everything she'd been through. It was different. She never blamed her for the accident that caused her to have an early labor and Sophia being born early and like both of them almost dying. And yet when the plane crash happened, Arizona really held it against Callie. And I know it was because she believed the whole time that Callie really did take her leg. But it was Alex, and Callie bore the weight of that. And that's crushing. But I still love Arizona, and I still think that even all of that doesn't take away from the character that she was. And I think it was an amazing character, and I hope she comes back when the show comes back to help Jo with her babies. We listen and we don't judge. Grey's Anatomy edition, and we're on part 4 now. This is the one I feel I might actually get judged on. The others, the comments, they didn't really judge me. You guys kind of agreed. Let's start with Jo Wilson. I did not like the character for a while. Like, it took me a minute. Okay, I didn't hate her, but I didn't like her. And then all that with her and Stephanie, because I love Stephanie, I was kind of pissed off for a while. Now, I did love her and Alex, and everything's fine. I love her so much now, and I root for her endlessly. But it took me a minute, okay? Speaking of that intern class, Leah Murphy, I actually don't hate her. We listen and we don't judge. I kind of just go along with it because we all are, like, supposed to. So, like, in the filters, you see me get pissed off. Also, because she doesn't fit anywhere. So, honestly, it is a true, like, what are you doing here? But I feel like, I mean, we celebrate people who will speak up in a workplace, right? Because they should. It's scary. It's hard to. And then yet, we, like, totally got on our ass for speaking up. Okay, that was a big one. And then last for this one, Derek. I get it. Everyone says he's toxic, but everyone is toxic on that show. And when I rewatch it, he does piss me off. Like, season 1, he should have told Meredith right away. Like, there's many opportunities. He could have told her, like, he was married and leaving his wife. But, of course, he didn't. Then he goes back to Addis. Like, there's so much. I get it. And then they make him out to be really, really awful. Like, season 11, right before he's going to leave. And I feel like it's on purpose. But overall, I think he is a solid character and a very realistic type of character. And their relationship, marriage, all of that is very realistic. And that is also why I love it. And I'm an OG, and I watched it from the very beginning. So, like, I didn't see all the things that I see now a little bit older and being like, oh, yeah, that's not great. But I'll always have love for Mayor Dare. We listen and we don't judge. Grey's Anatomy edition, part 5. This is a big one, and I will die on this hill. Meredith or somebody at that damn hospital should have called somebody in Derek's family when she was about to pull the plug. I will never understand why the writers did it that way. I don't agree with it. Derek would have not wanted it that way. Amelia deserved so much more than that. Meredith herself would obviously not be able to do it, but somebody in that damn hospital should have offered to call the family for her before she pulled the plug. And I don't think she should have done it until somebody was notified. No arguments. I will not change my mind. Jackson is not talked about enough. He experienced so much trauma on that show, and never is it really discussed. There's a couple moments with Lexi when you notice that he is dealing with some trauma, that he lost Pierce, and then when he's stuck in between the bay of when the alarm goes off and the hospital security and everything, you see those glimpses. But then even when he went through the birth of Samuel and losing him with April, like, April's was the focus, and he never got, like, what about his trauma? I think he is one of the greatest characters on Grey's Anatomy that just gets put to the wayside. Like, we all talk about him, we love him, but not in the same way as others. I feel he was an amazing character and a good man and a good partner on the show, and I just don't think it's talked about. April was another one I hated right from the start, but I feel like that's an obvious one. Jo wasn't so much, but April was annoying. She annoyed the crud out of me, and then I'd feel so bad feeling so mean about her. But her character development, her character development was crazy good. And the fact when she came back and was like all up in trauma and then did the trauma certification, and then with that car where she's like standing on the car, was this the end of season 14? I think it was the finale. So good. Now, her and Jackson, I didn't like how, you know, honestly, in real life, like, there's no way they would have worked, because her having her faith and him not, like, there's just no way. but they are one of my top relationships that I love. Like, they're one of my top 3 ships of the entire show. We listen and we don't judge. And finally, I don't know if this is a like listen and we don't judge or more of just an opinion, but why the fuck did we have Derek pick up his phone when he was hit by the truck? We never got to find out who actually called him. He was in the middle of the road. I really don't feel like he would have done that. I know it seemed quiet and like all the chaos had already happened, but it was still a road that wasn't closed. Why would he answer the phone? I will never understand why the writers had it that way. There were so many other moments in that episode where he could have been hit by a car to make that story still go the way it did, which was done very well, I felt otherwise. And I was crying for like 5 days. But who called Derek?